Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Temple Emeth. You are watching the live stream of our Shabbat evening service here in the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary of Temple Emeth in Teaneck, New Jersey. You can take a moment right now, if you're watching on Facebook Live or YouTube, to enter Shabbat Shalom in the comments, or say hello, or say where you're watching us from this evening. And if you have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah in your home, but not near the computer, now is a perfect time to get your copy of Mishkan Tefillah by your side so that you can follow along and be a full participant in our service. If you don't have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah and you'd like to follow along, you can go to our live stream page on emeth.org and scroll down, and you will see a link to a flipbook edition of our prayer book. When you click on that, you'll click through to the edition that says Weekdays, Shabbat, and Festivals, and then you'll be able to follow along by just putting the page number in the little window at the bottom of the screen to fully participate in our service. We're looking forward to that. Our service begins this evening with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. So I invite you to turn in Mishkan Tefillah to pages 120 and 121. As our bat mitzvah, Sarah Newman, leads us in the lighting of our Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israelites who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. That was...
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue with our Kiddush for Shabbat evening, which is found beginning on page 122 of Mishkan Tefillah. Please rise if you are able for the Kiddush.
And there was evening, and there was morning on the 6th day. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the 7th day God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the 7th day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei puri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon hinchelanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher litziyat mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen.
Please be seated. Our service continues on page 127. We read responsibly in English. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We continue now with our opening song, which is found in Mishkan Tefillah on page 142. Please join with us as Cantor Tillam leads us in singing Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B'chem L'Shalom, Malchei Hashalom, Malchei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni l'Shalom, Malchei Hashalom, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzitchem l'Shalom, Malchei Hashalom, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
At this time, I'd like to offer a poem by Rabbi Karen Kadar. It is an interpretation of Psalm 92, the psalm for the Sabbath day. My open heart is grateful and broken and strong. I sing a song of praise when goodness is all around. It is good to praise God, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Teach me a song of praise when I lay crushed and depleted. Let me raise my voice in gratitude when I lose my way, when I am defeated. This is the practice, O God of hosts, to awaken every morning in gratitude when life is good, when life is hard, when the spirit is strong, when the heart is shaking with doubts. An open heart is grateful and broken and strong. Teach me a song of praise. We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish, which is found in your Siddur on page 144.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich machutei V'chayichan v'yomechan V'chayei T'chol Beit Yisrael Bagala, bagala Uvizman kariv V'meru Amen. Yehishmei Rabban Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Olmaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpar V'yitramam V'yitnasei V'yitadai V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Kudesha Berichu Leila min kol bechata v'shirata Tush bechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alama
rise for the Baruch Hu, page 146. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna meshanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmorotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We read together at the top of page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue now on page 157. We look to the middle of the page as we read responsively in English. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace. Give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lot usefela, norati lot usefela, malchutecha B'kei lifnei Moshe, Zayli, Anu v'amru, Adonai melech le'olam va'ed, Adonai melech le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. ונאמר כבוד אדוני את יעקב גלומין חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We continue on page 161. We join together in English offering a translation of the Hashkivenu prayer, the prayer that asks for God's special protection as night descends upon us. We read together, Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeis sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, וינפש, וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Our service continues with the tefillah, which is found on page 164 of Mishkan Tefillah. Please rise for the tefillah.
Adonai sifata tiftachu fi agit ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Akol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'adva, Melech Ozer Mashiach Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Akol Atarav Le'oshia, Mashiva Ruach U'Morid Agashem. Michalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Akol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gvurot, Umida Melech, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanata l'chayot akol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei akol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el akadosh.
Please be seated. We turn now to page 179 in our Siddur. And at the top of page 179, we join together in English, offering a prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amo Yisrael, ba'shalom. We take a moment now for Tfilat Halev, a moment to offer to God the prayer of our hearts. Inspirational readings for this time are found on pages 180 and 181.
ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם תשים לעולם תשים
At this time, our thoughts turn to those in need of healing as we prepare to offer a Mishaberach prayer found in your Siddur on page 371. If you are thinking of someone in need of healing and you're watching us on Facebook Live or on YouTube, I invite you to share the name of your loved one in the comments section at this time or as we are singing the song. And if you're here in the sanctuary and you'd like to share a name out loud or in your heart, I invite you to do so. We turn now to page 371, and we join together in singing the Mishaberach. Find the courage to make our lives a blessing and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say The Hebrew month that follows the fall holidays is called Cheshvan. It has a nickname, Mar Cheshvan. The word Mar means bitter, and the original reason that it got this nickname, we think, was that the Jewish people have no festivals on Cheshvan to make us rejoice. In recent years, however, Cheshvan has had other reasons to capture our bitterness. 25 years ago this week, Yitzhak Rabin, the Prime Minister of Israel, was assassinated as he left a huge peace rally in Tel Aviv. The gunman was a law student who opposed Rabin's policies to make peace with the Palestinians. He was steeped in the rhetoric of the anti-Rabin demonstrations that had been going on all summer and fall. The most notorious, at Zion Square in Jerusalem, featured placards of Rabin wearing a keffiyeh and Rabin wearing an SS uniform. In the few feet from the bottom of the stairs leading down from the stage and the waiting car, the assassin fired 3 shots, hitting Rabin twice, but suffering no injury himself. He was immediately arrested, but charged with murder several hours later at the police station. He reportedly smiled and thanked God that his mission had been successful. 2 years ago, in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh, 11 members of the Tree of Life or L'Simcha congregation were going about their usual intimate Shabbat morning minyan when the peace of their prayers was shattered by the sound of bullets from an assault rifle. That was not the only peace that was shattered that morning, as this was to become the deadliest attack on Jews in America's history. The synagogue had recently participated in a special refugee Shabbat organized by Hayas, which focused on the Jewish value of welcoming the stranger into our midst, as we know what it is to be a stranger. This white supremacist steeped in online anti-Semitic and anti-immigrant hate speech gunned down 11 members of the congregation in the midst of their declaring God's holiness. These 2 acts of violence, 23 years apart, are different. One was in Israel, one in the United States. One was the targeted assassination of a political leader. The other was a mass shooting of individuals unknown to the gunman. One was Jew against Jew. The other was an act of anti-Semitism. But these 2 tragedies have much in common as well. In both cases, the gunman was so deeply indoctrinated in radical hate speech that he could not see his victims as human beings, only as a threat. Rabin's assassin could no longer recognize that Rabin's legitimacy as leader was conferred to him by Israel's democracy. The Pittsburgh shooter was blinded to the fact that killing 11 defenseless people at prayer, most of them elderly, would not change the country's refugee policy. The victims were dehumanized to the point that their lives, in the twisted views of the 2 gunmen, were expendable. In some ways, Israel has moved on from the Rabin assassination, and in other ways, this act of violence still haunts both left and right. In retrospect, it was one of the most successful assassinations in history. In the 25 years since, the peace process with the Palestinians has essentially been put on hold. No Israeli leader today is willing to take the risks for peace that Rabin was willing to take. And here in the United States, the grief from Pittsburgh is more raw. Guards in front of synagogues are a more common sight, and we have a greater awareness that virtual hate speech can lead to real-life harm. I believe the larger lesson of both acts has yet to be learned. Outrage and hatred are powerful political tools. They motivate people to make donations and march in the streets. They motivate people to attend rallies and vote. But once unleashed, outrage and hatred can spin out of control, motivating people to justify unjustifiable acts. We have moved in our political discourse from hating our opponents' ideas to hating our opponents. And while it has become easier to score political points, it has become harder to live with each other. But we can do better. We can look for God's image in each other. We can choose words that affirm discussion rather than elevate tension. When he stood on the White House lawn in 1993, Rabin had played a role in every one of Israel's wars and knew the pain they had inflicted. He declared, "Enough, enough of blood and tears." Today we can take that sentiment and say, enough, enough of insults and name-calling, enough of demonization and outrage, enough of violence and pain. In this week's Torah portion, Abraham and Sarah are called by God to walk in a righteous path, to go to a new land and begin a new relationship with God and humanity. The Midrash says that they converted people to monotheism by bringing them into their home, giving them food and drink, befriending them, and thus attracting them. In this way, they were brought under the wings of the divine presence. In other words, converting them was a process of kindness, hospitality, and respect. For the sake of Rabin's legacy, Let us continue the work for peace and reconciliation between enemies. For the sake of the Tree of Life victims, let us continue to welcome the refugee to a life of safety and freedom on these shores. And for all of us, let us work to eradicate outrage and to promote understanding, that it may be a righteous path in which we walk. Shabbat Shalom. In just a few days, we will have the chance to vote. Well, in New Jersey, many of us have voted already, but Election Day officially comes this Thursday, November 3rd. And to prepare us, I would like to invite you to turn in Mishkan Tefillah to page 376. On page 376, we find the prayer for our country. We read together, O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. Our service continues now with the Aleinu, which is found in your Siddur on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגר עלינו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
As we prepare for the Mourner's Kaddish, we remember the victims of the Tree of Life shooting in Pittsburgh 2 years ago this week. Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, and Irving Younger. And we remember Yitzhak Rabin, the Prime Minister and Minister of Defense of the State of Israel, who died 25 years ago this week. As a Temple Emeth community, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim 30-day period of mourning. Bob Friedman, cousin of Maddie Eichen and Barbara Balkin. Buzz Robbins, remembered by Ida Jean Fisher, and Helen Ulster, aunt of Nikki Falk. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week: Helen Abrams, Sheila Bennett, Arthur Bernard, Betty Bernstein, Beatrice Kaplan Brown, Jeffrey H. Cantor, Mildred Clark, Richard Einiger, Frank Falk, Leo Feather, Beatrice Freund, Bradford Hoey, Ernest Kahn, Sarah Kessler, Harry Klein, Kenneth Krigsman, Cecile Leibowitz, Joseph Levy, Meyer Lifshitz, Rebecca Lupatin, Sidney Mintz, Barbara Nadler, Dan Nagin, Harry Pape, Jacob Pincus, Erwin Rabin, Rhoda Race, Bertha Ritzer, Harold Rosenberg, Johanna Ross, Julius Spielman, Anna Stein, Alice Sugarman, Rose Teitelbaum, Florence Turetsky, Robert Ward, Harry Wharton, Edith Weinberg, Nellie Wilmers, Riva Yellen, and Marshall Zullo. And we remember the names of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust. Lieb Schuchtman of Lithuania, age 43, Brandel Binner of the Soviet Union, age 43, Ida Denker of the Soviet Union, age 40, Chaya Garfunkel of Poland, age 30, Miriam Davidson of Poland, age 30, and Polina Schwartz of the Soviet Union, age 20. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn now in our Sidurim to page 598, and we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'yizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei d'kudsha, b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Seth Kane, a member of our Board of Trustees, to offer our announcements. Seth is calling them in from home, so we're going to... And there's Seth.
Hello. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Temple Emeth streaming Shabbat service. Mazel Tov to Sarah Newman on becoming a Bat Mitzvah this Shabbat, and Mazel Tov to her parents, Paula and Robert Newman, and her siblings, Jacob and Lily. The Temple takes great pride in your accomplishments. Election Day is this Tuesday. Temple Emeth has set a goal of being a 100% voting congregation. See Thursday's email to find and complete a virtual pledge form. Be sure to exercise the first right of our democracy and vote. Join us for the second of our two-part Viewpoints program on implicit bias. This Wednesday at 7:30, our topic will be white privilege. Thank you to the volunteers in the live stream control booth this Shabbat. Tonight, Jacqueline Gutman and Meredith Alvaro Gebhardt are at the controls. And tomorrow's Bat Mitzvah service, we will have Amanda Eastman and Gail Goldberg. If you would like to be trained to run the control booth at an upcoming service, email Temple President Nikki Falk for more information. Please note that because of the pandemic, our building remains closed to the general public. We ask our members who wish to make contributions, make voluntary dues payments, or do any other business to use mail, email, or phone. If a matter requires in-person attendance, please contact our staff in advance before coming to the building. We appreciate your help in keeping our entire Temple Emeth community safe. Finally, remember to keep the weekly email you receive Thursday in your inbox all week long. It has the login codes for all of the week's Zoom programming. Shabbat Shalom, and again, Mazel Tov to Sarah Newman and her family.
Thank you, Seth. Shabbat Shalom. On November 4th, 1995, Yitzhak Rabin was the final speaker at a peace rally in Kings of Israel Square in Tel Aviv. The theme of the rally was yes to peace, no to violence. It was a joyous atmosphere with speeches interspersed with songs. Rabin, as prime minister, was the last to speak, and the evening drew to a close with Shir L'Shalom, the song for peace. Rabin was never one for music. He didn't enjoy singing, but this was his moment, so Rabin struggled with the words and sang off key. When it was over, he took the sheet of paper with the words to Shir L'Shalom, folded it neatly in quarters, and put it in his jacket pocket. The finale of the evening was, of course, Hatikva, after which Rabin turned to leave the stage and go to his waiting car. Minutes later, he was shot. The words Shir L'Shalom were still in his pocket when he died, stained in blood. Shir L'Shalom was written as a feel-good song. Influenced by the musical Hair, they both have the words, "Let the sun shine." To me, the most compelling words of Shir L'Shalom are, "Al tagidu yom yavo, haviu et hayom." Don't say the day will come, bring the day. Today, Shir L'Shalom is still uplifting, but it is also a song of Rabin's unfinished legacy. This evening, on his 25th yahrzeit, we conclude our service with Shir L'Shalom, found in Mishkan Tefillah on page 658.
השמש לעלות, לבוקר להאיר, אזעקה שבתפילות אותנו לא תחזיר. מי אשר קבע נראה ובאתה נדמה, בחימר לא יאירו, לא יחזירו לכאן. איש אותנו לא ישיב, מבור תחת תבל, כאן לא יועילו לו שמחת הניצחון, ולא שירי הלל. לכן רק שירו, שיר לשלום, אל תלחשו תפילה. לכן רק שירו, שיר לשלום, בצעק הגולה. תנו לשמש לחדור, מבעד לפרחים. אל תביטו לאחור, הניחו להולכים. שאו עיניים בתקווה, לא דרך כוונות. שירו שיר לאהבה ולא למלחמות. אל תגידו יום יבוא, הביאו את היום, כי לא חלום ובכל הכיכרות הריעו לשלום. לכן רק שירו, שיר לשלום, אל תלחשו תפילה. מוטב תשירו, שיר לשלום, בצעק הגולה. לכן רק שירו, שיר לשלום, אל תלחשו תפילה. מוטב תשירו, שיר לשלום, בצעק הגולה.
As we conclude our worship, we turn to one another and say, Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.